Hello everyone, welcome back to Assetto Corsa Competizione. You join me on lap 3 of this Coach Dave GT3 Sprint Series race with Low Fuel Motorsport. Now I've qualified badly, I've started badly, but things are going to get even worse in the final turn. I'm T-boned by a rejoining Ferrari, and that effectively is my race over, particularly when I make such a mess of the rejoin. Now, I was only in 23rd position even before this incident, so I really didn't have that much to lose. But by the time I got back on track, I found myself all the way down in 28th and quite a considerable distance behind the cars in front. Now, a quick look at the replay shows the Ferrari coming back from the grass, across pit lane and onto the track. But if I'd been a bit more aware here, shown a little bit more anticipation, I could have left a bigger gap for him to rejoin. We're riding on board with the Ferrari driver now, Fabian Nosing. Here he is coming back on, and it's actually the raised curb that stops him getting the car turned and causes him to crash into me. So anyway, we're back for another go. This time we're starting from P14 with a qualifying time of 1:57.3. Now I'm nearly half a second slower than the driver who qualified right in front of me, Vin Martin, so I'm really going to have to up my game through the course of this race if I'm going to challenge for a top 10. Let's get down on track and see what we can do. Now I've actually been demoted back down into the rookies class for this one. I'm yo-yoing between rookies and the Coach Dave GT3 Sprint due to my perilous safety rating, which took another hit in that opening race. Speaking of hits, there was contact in front, and there are cars sliding off everywhere. I was so fixated on the Ferrari in front of Vin Martin, I almost followed him onto the grass there, but that wider line might have saved me because there were further spinners on the inside, and I think we've made a cracking start here. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in front, so I think we may be as high as 8th place here. We'll get confirmation in a minute when the leaderboard updates, but what a start that is. However, I think it's going to make my life a lot tougher in the coming laps because all of a sudden I've got lots of faster drivers behind me. One of them is Anton Collis right behind in the rearview mirror. Now I know he's quicker. He qualified P12 and his qualifying lap time was a half a second quicker than mine, so I suspect I'm going to be put under some real pressure shortly. But as we approach the hairpin at the back part of the circuit, we do get confirmation that we're in 8th place. So let's go back and check out the replay to see exactly what happened in T1. Now, a good pal of mine, Stu, always describes this first corner at the Nürburgring as like chucking 30 marbles into a funnel, and he is not wrong. There's contact between two Ferraris in the middle of the picture, and that sends multiple drivers out. We're watching the number 15 Ferrari. That's Tobias Winkler. He started P5. We also saw the number 3 Ferrari of Julian Fusenik there, and he is still banging doors with other cars, and we see even more spinners in the background there. Right, keep your eye on the black Ferrari of Safa Saban-Kuoglu. He's going to start this chain of events off when he runs into the rear of Andreas Smentek. That contact pushes Smentek into Tobias Winkler. That sends Winkler into Julian Fusenik, and all hell breaks loose in T1. Thankfully though, we managed to avoid it all, and in the process jumped 6 positions. We're up from 14th into 8th. Back to the live action then at the start of lap 2, and so far so good. I'm actually managing to match the pace of these faster guys around me. We've just started to gap Collis behind. He's now 0.7 of a second back, and we're also keeping up with Saban-Kuoglu in front. Now Saban-Kuoglu qualified P8. His lap time was about 0.8 of a second faster than mine in qualifying, but so far we're matching him here. Meanwhile, Collis in the rearview mirror closes right in through that hairpin. He's certainly very, very good on the brakes. However, he is a bit slower on exit, so we regain that advantage over him coming out of the corner. And the white flags are out, so that signifies that we've got a slow car further ahead. Have we lost another one of the front runners? Well, if we did, they've managed to rejoin because we've not gained any positions. We're still in P8, and crucially, we've maintained that cushion to Collis in 9th. The gap's still 0.7, 0.8 of a second. But is there a warning sign ahead that this pack of cars are starting to show their dominance? It does look like that gap is just opening up a little bit. It's 0.6 of a second to Saban-Kuoglu in front. Or it's not going to be any more because he's taken a huge chunk of that curb on the inside, and he has crashed out. Yeah, I know from experience how these Ferraris don't like the big curbs, and Saban-Kuoglu found out to his cost there. We're now on lap 4, and I have doubled my advantage over Collis behind. He is now 1.3 3 seconds back, so my attentions are firmly focused on the 2 cars ahead. Now, I'm not quite as quick as them, but they are starting to fight with each other, so that might give me the opportunity to close back in on them. Andreas Müller currently has 5th position, but he is under attack now from Michael Nimrichter in the Bentley, and there's contact between the pair of them. They are both gone. We could get 5th position here on that Bentley, causing a massive roadblock there. There is a gap on the inside. This might be our one opportunity to get past him, and we've clipped the raised curb and spun out. This is going to be really difficult to rejoin safely. We're right on the racing line, so I have to be really careful getting back on track. We do manage it, but we have lost a bunch of positions here. We're down into 11th place. We'll make that 12th place because Jonathan Buscato in the BMW has just got by. We may lose another position because on the outside Michael Ofska is going to try and move, so we've got to defend here, take a tight line. Can we hold Ofska off? Yes, we can. Oh, what a costly mistake that was. We find ourselves right in the middle of a battle that we wanted no part of here. Currently P12, right on the tail of Pepe Hübrig in that Mercedes. Now there's a little gap on the inside here. It's probably not an overtaking opportunity because we're going to be hanging out wide on the outside coming out of this section, but we can put Hübrig under pressure here. How frustrating was that mistake at the end of the previous lap? I had 5th position within my grasp. Now all of a sudden I find myself fighting for my life in 12th. We'll go back and check out a replay of it shortly. I suspect I was a little bit rash in trying to dive for that inside line to take the position. But for now, let's concentrate on the live action on track. Can I do anything about getting back into the top 10? Well, we're going to get 1 position back straight away because Pepe Hübrig missed his braking point completely into the hairpin. He was out into the gravel. So now we're back up into P11. Can we close in the gap on this bunch of cars in front? This is the top 10 we can see now. And the next driver in sight is Jonathan Buscato. He's done really well. He qualified down in P23. He's up into 10th, but he's not going to stay there because he's lost the rear through that left-hander. So that has put us back into the top 10. Right, here's a replay of the incident at the end of the previous lap. Michael Nimrichter trying to move up the inside of Andreas Müller, and they both crash out. However, that Bentley rejoined right in my path. I had to get on the brakes to avoid running into the back of him, but then I made the decision to try and tuck it up the inside. I just clipped the raised curb, and it caused me to lose control. Really frustrating. We did at least get a couple of positions back on the next lap. This was Pepe Hübrig running wide at the hairpin, and then a couple of corners later, Jonathan Buscato gets it all wrong in this left-hander. He just clipped the curb too and loses the rear. That's us back into 10th. Well, we're at the halfway point of the race now. We're still in 10th position, but we are starting to close in on that Mercedes in front, Sasso Uljerovic. Well, we don't have to worry about anyone behind at the moment. We have cleared off. We've opened up a gap of more than 2 seconds to Oscar down in 11th, so we can concentrate on this Mercedes here. We're reeling him in through this tricky section at the start of lap 7. It's my least favourite part of the circuit, this bit, particularly this left-hander and then the right-hander to go out onto the back straight. I do struggle to get the car rotated and on the gas, but it looks like I'm not the only one having problems. Uljerovic lit up the rears there on exit. That's given us the opportunity to tuck it up the inside, and we do grab that 9th position. Now, can we hold on to it? Can we get a good exit out of this right-hander and make 9th position our own? Yes, we can. Well, we took about half a second out of Uljerovic on that previous lap, so I suspect he was starting to feel the pressure. He just gets out onto the AstroTurf there, gets on the gas, the rear just wobbles a little bit, but it was enough to give me the opportunity I needed to make that pass. Start of lap 8 now. We've just put in our fastest lap of the race, a 1:57 flat, so we're on the verge of getting into the 1:56s here. That is a marked improvement on my qualifying time. Over the previous lap, we've opened up a 1 second advantage over Uljerovic behind, and we are closing in fast on Müller and Martin now, who are in a right old tussle, and it's got physical. Finn Martin spins out. We're up into 8th. There must have been contact from that McLaren of Andreas Müller behind. Let's check out the replay. Watch Müller trying to roll it around the outside into T1. He can't make the pass there, but he is swarming over the rear of that red Ferrari now, and is there contact? Yeah, right there. That's the nudge that sent Finn Martin out and promoted me up into 8th position. Well, lap 9 then, and we're still hanging on to the rear of that white McLaren ahead. Andreas Müller 0.5 of a second in front, but I'm doing everything I can now to try and reduce that gap. I'm just not quite close enough to consider making a move at the moment, but I do feel like I've got the pace to grab this 7th position. Based on the qualifying times, Müller really should be clearing off. However, I seem to have raised my game in the race. My lap times are improving considerably. My delta was on for a 156 there, but I was just a bit squirrely coming out of the hairpin, and it's cost me a few tenths. However, this might be the opportunity. We've got a much better run. Oh, we're going to get squeezed on the inside. Müller certainly didn't want us there. He made it as tight as he possibly could, and as a result, I am all out of shape coming through this section now. Well, I said earlier in the race that I made a bad decision to try and dive up the inside at the final corner. I think I might have made my second bad decision there. Müller didn't really leave enough space for me to try that move, and I made a right mess of it. It has cost me several tenths, and I'm going to have to work twice as hard now to try and reel that gap back in with time against us here. Oh, the rear steps out. We almost lose control. Oh, we have lost control. That race curb didn't help. For the second time this race, we've spun at the final corner. We get a big hit from the number 1 car of Ben's Kiss. Thankfully, Kiss managed to keep going. We didn't take him too, but let's check out a replay. This was the move I attempted up the inside. Oh, it was really tight. There wasn't really enough space, and it got me completely offline for this section. And after that mistake, I just seemed to spiral from then on in and make several more. I just gave it a bit too much gas coming out of the final chicane. The rear steps out. I managed to save it, but then I clipped that raised curb, and I can't save it a second time. Let's ride on board with the Aston Martin of Ben's Kiss. Kiss was right behind us when this happened, and he ran into me. I'm so glad that I didn't take him with me. You can see me offline there. I come back on, I clip the curb, and actually the contact from Kiss does me a favour. It at least points me in the right direction to get going again a little bit quicker. But yeah, this race has been littered with mistakes, and it's cost me several positions here. But I'm certainly driving and pushing far harder than I used to in ACC, and I think this level of aggression may not suit my driving style. I've made lots of mistakes in recent races. Imola, Spa, now the Nürburgring as well, and I'm going to make one more before this race is out. We're approaching the final chicane. I'm going to come in a bit too hot. The rear steps out. I do just about manage to save it, but I've lost another position. Jonathan Biscotto doesn't need a second invitation to dive into that gap, and he makes the pass. Now, we actually both picked up a position on the previous lap because of a disconnect further ahead, so that fight was for 9th. Biscotto now in 9th, me down to 10th, but I'm going to get 9th back on the very last lap. Andreas Müller has to pit for fuel. So the checkered flag is about to come out here at the Nürburgring because Manfred Flohr is going to win this race, closely followed by Kevin Kuhn in 2nd. As the classified results pop up, there we are in 9th. Well, I said at the start of the race I was going to face an uphill battle to get into the top 10, so I can't be too disappointed with 9th. My pace did improve considerably during this race. However, poor decision making at crucial times is what cost me. I probably could have finished in P6 here. But ultimately, I'm paying the price for a lack of track time. I'm spending fewer hours sim racing now than I ever have before, and it is really showing in my performances lately. I'm going backwards, particularly in Assetto Corsa Competizione. As always, thank you ever so much for watching and for your patience during these rapidly deteriorating performances. Hopefully soon I'll get a little bit more track time and I can start to turn these results around.